Welcome to Let's Face the Facts. I'm David Almeida, and I'm your host for this rewatch podcast for the classic sitcom The Facts of Life. I'm an actor in Orlando, Florida, and every week I bring you some of the greatest talent in the Central Florida arts community. Join us as we synopsize, analyze, criticize, and ultimately idolize the show, episode by episode. Hey guys, welcome back. It's another week, another Wednesday, another show. Thank you for downloading and pressing play. My guest this week is Jodi Chase. Jodi is a fabulous, funny, fantastic female. She's an actress, a singer, an improviser. She and I worked together for many years at Disney, and she's a fellow New Englander. She is also an avid rock concert attendee, and she's been on the show before, but it's been a while. It was back in season 2. So I'm glad to have her back. It's great to talk with her again because it's been a while. And I just had her husband, John Pelkey, on the show a few weeks back. So I'm glad to finally get back with her as well. Before we start this week's show, I want to bring to your attention a new discovery that I made. I was Googling one of the phrases in this episode, and this website popped up called Subtitles Like Scripts. And the website is actually subslikescript.com. And this website has transcripts of all kinds of movies and TV shows. It looks like it's maybe been done by a bot. They don't look like they're in standard script readers format, but it was just fascinating because many Facts of Life episodes are there. So I will be putting that in the show notes, and maybe every week, if I can, I'll share a transcript of the episode that we watch in case you want to read it for some reason. I don't know your life. It's kind of a cool site, so I figure let's support them. I'll put word out for it. So back to this week. Jodi Chase and I watched Season 6, Episode 10, called Talk, Talk, Talk. In the show itself, I refer to it as Episode 9. I am wrong. It is Episode 10, and the original air date was November 28th of 1984. I think we're ready to jump on in. Let's face the facts with Jodi Chase. Well, returning guest for the second time. It was only 2 years ago I had you on the show, and I said, I need to have her back immediately in 2 years. Jodi Chase, ladies and gentlemen.
Shoot, has it been 2 years?
It was, the episode dropped in February of 2019.
Okay, can we be honest, though? 2020 doesn't really count, so it's like really been like, I don't know, 13 months.
Barely at.
We just take out 2020. That didn't exist.
Just eliminate it. Most of us will. I think history will show. It's like the 13th floor on the elevator.
Nobody talks about it.
It's just going to be not on the calendars.
Don't talk about it. It didn't happen.
Yeah,
Hi, David.
Hi, Jodi. I was going back and re-listening to our previous episode because it had been a while, and I was like, I wanted to remember and see if we could reminisce since it was that long ago.
It was the episode that we both went, this was actually a pretty good episode.
We gushed. It was amazing. It's because it was season 3. I'm sorry. It was season 2, episode 3.
Was it 3?
4. It was double standard. It was what we call the thesis show that Linda Marsh and Margie Peters wrote, where Joe was at the cotillion with the guy that Blair Wish had asked her, and then he turns out to be a jerk and attacks her, and Nancy McKeon cries, Charlotte Rae is nurturing. It is really in many ways the quintessential episode of the Facts of Life as far as years.
It was impressive. The writing was impressive. And the acting is always adorable. It's not like, I don't ever remember going, ooh, but just a little, sometimes a little over the, well, not a little over the top, but pretty over the top. And we just accept it. And it's acceptable and it's fun. I wouldn't want it any other way. But there was some seriously good acting that episode.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. And we were, the things we were talking about is it was like the characters had clicked, they had locked in. they had said, this is a Blair and Joe show. Tootie
Right.
and Natalie are the window dressing. We're not having to try and give everybody their moment like they failed to achieve in season 1.
Right.
And yeah, no, it was a great episode. And then I go and make you watch this one. I'm so sorry.
I liked it. It was cute. There were some really cute moments in it. Yeah. Yeah.
I'll agree with you. There are some cute moments, but as the show progresses, as we get into season 6, and the people who listen to this regularly know that all I'm constantly complaining about is how things are not canon, how we were lauding the show for being so character driven and being so tight back in season 2. This is where it's getting so loose. We have, we need this character to be a drummer this episode. Oh, we need someone to be a crossbow expert. Oh, Blair has to perform brain surgery. Let's say she did it when she was 4 years old. Joe sings in a bar all of a sudden. That actually happened.
Oh, no.
Oh.
Not in this episode, but are you serious?
Oh, yeah.
I can't remember. I think I stopped watching The Facts of Life. Yeah, I was probably, I must have been when I started going to concerts and stuff. Like that was the cool thing to do, which was probably around 7th or 8th grade.
Pretty much next season is where I start to really drift, because that was when I started acting.
Right. Yeah. I was in 7th, 8th grade when I started acting. So,
yeah, that's right, because we're very close in age.
Yeah.
So yes, we are talking about, ladies and gentlemen, season 6, episode 9, Talk, 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 which had an original air date of November 28th, 1984. So this ran on the Wednesday after Thanksgiving. So we are now deep into the holiday season with this episode. And the writers were Bob Meyer and Bob Young. They've written for many shows before. They're producers. They're in the writer's room. They have many, many episodes under their belt at this point. And the director is John Boab, who is new-ish to the show, but will go on to direct the most episodes of any director as we proceed through this and the next 3 seasons. So the episode deals with a college radio station. Did you have any relationship with your college radio station, Jodi?
I was going to tell you. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. DJ Jodi did spin some records. She did.
Something told me. Something told. I don't know why.
I've seen over 300 concerts, David. I'm like, that's something people go, really? And I'm like, and I've seen crazy concerts. Like you go, no, you didn't see that concert. I'm like, yeah, I saw Whitesnake.
Oh,
yeah. I saw the Scorpions and Metallica together. Yeah, wow. I saw John Denver. It's like I just ran the gambit back then. But when they said DJ, it was at WLG. I was like, wait a minute, isn't it usually like WRNG or like there's usually like
four call letters. In Massachusetts, there are 4 call letters, and then you see things like WGN out of Chicago. You're like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah. And my college was Plymouth State College. Now it's Plymouth State University. You know, so and ours was WPSC. So when they said they just said WLG, and I was like, what? So that's the voice of Langley College, right? Yeah. The voice of Langley College. DJ, whatever. Yeah. That I was very happy because I loved being a DJ. I did. I loved it. And that's when we would now, when I went to college, we had albums. Yeah. We still had, that was 88. But we also had
radios
CDs.
Never did cassettes. They would do 8 tracks in some cases in the 70s.
Yeah.
Or kind of a thing, because you could insert them but not click them in, so you could cue. I feel like WKRP in Cincinnati used to do this, where it's like, and now spring next thing, you basically hit the 8-track and it plugs in and plays.
Yeah, and plays it. Yeah, I don't know what the deal is with cassettes. Are you sure? I don't know.
I don't think cassettes ever. I don't think we ever made it. I think vinyl and 8-track was the standard.
Yeah.
And then once CDs came along and they could do things digitally, then that's it.
Right.
That was the end of it.
But this was all album. This was record.
Uh-huh.
This was record. It was fun.
There we go. So cool. What was your no, what was your brand? Like, did you do a certain type of indie music or heavy metal, or what was your thing?
I was really into REM, and at that point, I think it was REM. But I also played whatever was hip and hop, like happening in the fraternities and sororities.
Hmm.
So there was it takes two to make a thing go right. I did a lot of like fun, upbeat pop music, but then I also would throw in some REM, some U2. And then I also would throw in some Crosby's because I went to a kind of a hippie school in the White Mountains of New Hampshire.
Yeah.
So like it was cool to really like Crosby, Stills and Nash, and anything that you would smoke a bong, or like a bowl, whatever. Like if you just got high, you were like, that music's okay.
Yeah.
What wasn't always celebrated at my college was Jimmy Buffett, which is weird to
Oh.
me because I like Jimmy Buffett, but people
Yeah.
are like, no, no, no. It's we go with like the classic stuff, like Fish and who else was really big? Little Feat, like all these bands. So my thing was like, just like everything in my life, it's like a potpourri of things. And
Hmm.
I wasn't one genre.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay, cool. Interesting. I didn't know if you had a certain thing that was yours.
You
This is
listen to whatever I put out there, man.
It wasn't. This is DJ Jodi with your country western hits. 'Cause I can tell you for sure, being both from New England, we're like, one thing that it was not was country. That was
No,
not a thing.
not at all. Not at all. Like maybe a little Kenny Rogers, but no.
Yeah, I mean Dolly
Dolly.
Parton.
Yeah.
Because she kind of was a crossover because there's a lot more pop to her country than there was country.
Islands in the stream. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could handle that. But no, country music was no.
Yeah, not a thing. No.
Not mine.
Well, Jodi, this is the time of the episode where I put my guest on the spot and ask you if you could provide a 1 to 2 sentence synopsis of the entire episode, just to give us a loose idea, maybe the listing you might see in a TV guide.
Okay. This episode was troublesome for Jo because she was failing a class in school, and because she was working too hard managing that radio station, and she needed help because her DJ Victor came in drunk, and she needed to fill those DJ moments with her crying out for her friends to help her. That's pretty much what I would say. I'm not very good with synopsis. I could go on and on about the episode, but I don't know. That's kind of what it is, right?
We will. Yes, absolutely. And in some way, it's interesting because it's not a very plot heavy episode. This is
no.
Yeah, it's more of, we're in season 6 now. The show's about to take a significant turn in season 7, where the whole aesthetic changes. I don't know if the showrunners actually changed, but they go for a much different 80s vibe with the look of it. And they really try to lean into, okay, these are young women. We can't have this be all about schools. And this feels like we're kind of continuing with that, because it's like the entire episode is set at this college radio station.
Yep.
We have one cutaway
Right.
to the answering machine on the desk at the house behind Edna's Edibles.
Edna's Edible.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's
I totally forgot about that, David. I totally forgot that she started Edna's Edibles.
Yes. Well, that's it, because last time you were here, Jo had just arrived. Like the show had just started to come into its own as far as the Eastland years. But so we have this weird, unusual thing of, let's take all the characters and put them in an environment that we have never seen before and we will never see again, I don't believe. I don't think we ever come back here. This is a one-off.
Well, she's got to, I hope not, because she was failing.
Yeah, exactly.
So she got to get back to class.
We will discuss that by the by.
I was worried.
But this is, we've had a series of very Jo-centric episodes. The second episode of the season was the one where she opens up the pizza business out of Edna's Edibles kitchen. Episode 6 and 7 were a two-parter about her dating her college professor. And then adjusting to the fact that he was so much older, Jodi. He was really, really old.
Was it a sugar daddy?
He was 30 years old.
No, that's so old. She was...
But he had a kid. So the episode also dealt with the fact that she was suddenly they were becoming this family unit, and she's a sophomore in college. She's not ready for that. So that was a Joe-centric two-parter. And then last week we had the Joe episode where she was talking to a computer, kind of confessing to the computer about a fight she and Blair had and hoping the computer would side with her because computers could do that in 1984, you know.
Right. They were as big as like your kitchen, but
yeah.
Kitchen's good. Oh my God, what was that?
Yeah, what was it on Wonder Woman? It was like they had 3 refrigerators.
Yeah.
It was like 3 refrigerator-sized things with reel-to-reel tapes.
Yes. Burnishers and oh yeah.
And it probably had a half a megabyte of memory and processing data.
Bet it did. We have to delete 10 things so we can make more storage. Yeah.
So this is another in a series of, we were leaning a lot on Nancy McKeon. She did have some contract negotiations early in the season, and she did miss the first 2 episodes that they taped, but they peppered them in throughout. They broadcast them out of order. No one really notices the difference. And but it almost seems like with her coming back, they were so happy to have her back that they were like, we're going to give her a lot to sink her teeth into. So yeah, so the episode is, and every week, Jodi, I say I'm not going to literally recite it word for word, verbatim, every single semicolon and all that. I'm going to try to do a little looser framework here. But the beginning of the episode is at WLG-FM, the college radio station.
WLG-FM. And then that cheesy DJ. I loved her.
Yeah. Okay. And it's in the set is to the left. We have the control room, I guess that's what
production room.
Production room, yeah.
Yeah,
equipment
producer, yeah,
is there. And then there's this other room to the right that's the quote-unquote booth, which is just a table and a chair with a microphone at it.
It looked like an office, yeah.
Yeah, it was like, that's weird.
Yeah.
And then to the left of the sound equipment, the sound mixing board and the broadcasting equipment is like a lounge area. It's got a really good college vibe. I like the way they decorated the set here, where it's got kind of a junky, worn out sectional and newspapers and pizza boxes everywhere. Like you can tell it's college. Did you notice some of the things on the wall? Did you notice anything?
No, I don't think I did.
There's a Gumby poster.
Oh no.
Remember Gumby made a big comeback in the 80s because Eddie Murphy did the Gumby character on Saturday Night Live. And there was a whole generation, including our generation, who were like, what is that? I mean, it's funny, but the reference to it was so ridiculous.
Random and ridiculous.
Yeah.
I didn't notice the stuff on the wall. I wish I had, but I guess that's kind of good. It kind of gave you that feel for that time period, which was probably 80. You said 84, right?
84,
84, yeah. That totally makes sense.
So we have a poster of the Langley Lions that was established last week, that the Lions is the Langley team, and I don't think we had known that before. There's a poster of hot air balloons, and the caption says, "Leave me alone, I'm having a crisis." Which, honestly, you could hang that today in 2021, and no one would doubt it or say, what is that from? What does that mean?
Hot air balloon, though. It's so good. I love it.
And there's also a poster of Humphrey Bogart, which is like, okay.
Which has nothing to do with being a DJ, a radio station.
No.
It's not. What?
Yeah.
That's random, and I don't get it.
What's not there is there's not a Metallica poster. There's not a picture of the Rolling Stones Lips logo.
Loverboy. Loverboy would have been
Kiss.
Perfect. Kiss,
it's like there were so many. There was the room was very collegey, but it was surprisingly devoid of actual music references.
Right. Set designer failed on that.
Yeah, that's a fail. But okay, we'll give you A for mood. We'll give you a C for details.
You're
is
being
what we'll
generous.
do.
You're being generous.
Generous.
Generous. Yeah, because when I was a DJ, we had posters all over, and posters were still big.
Oh yeah, oh
Yeah.
God, yeah. And if you were a radio station, they would send you posters of album covers for you to put up
Yes.
to remind you that, oh yeah, I want to play that album. I want to play the music from that. That was a marketing tool.
I loved that so much. I had Rick Springfield on my wall.
Oh my
I
God.
had I loved getting an album with the poster in it, and oh my gosh, that's
Yeah.
brilliant. And they didn't even do it. Okay. Moving on.
So we hear from this cheesy college-aged female announcer doing that voice, and she says, Victor King is up next with the Midnight to 6. So we know that it is almost midnight, and there is now a 6-hour block of radio supposed to be run by this Victor dude.
Yeah.
Then Natalie and Joe enter, and they're in the booth, and the initial conversation, you know, they like to be in the middle of a conversation when people are walking and talking and come into a room.
Yes.
The middle of this conversation is, come on, Joe, can't you at least play Eye of the Tiger, for my bowling team, the Hurricanes? You know, me, Natalie Green, the bowling team member who has never, ever bowled before on this show or displayed any interest or indication that it was a thing she did.
I didn't even know that that's what the Hurricanes were. I didn't know. And then later on we found out, but I was like,
no, but she's got a bag with a bowling ball. She's wearing a bowling shirt, and she turns around and shows the logo in the back. And it's like, wait, what is happening? And this is the stuff that drives me crazy in these seasons. It's like, why make Natalie? It's like, she's a senior in high school. It's the week after Thanksgiving. Is a bowling week really going to be meeting the week after? Come on.
Right. That's a good point. That's a good point.
You're going to be hearing that a lot this episode, Jodi. Come on.
Oh no, come on. What was that about?
But Joe is like, no, we don't play requests here on the station, and I'm going to be doing this. And in comes Professor Dugan.
Okay.
Or as I like to call him, Professor Dickweed.
Oh boy. Well, has he been on any other? Is he no?
No.
Just.
This is his only episode. This is his only appearance on The Facts of Life.
Can I please tell you how I felt when he walked into the room?
How did you feel?
Oh my gosh. I went, okay. Perfect hair, blonde hair, perfectly coiffed, perfect. Like just not a hair out of place.
True.
I know he goes to the same hairstylist all the time. It's just consistent. And he had the most delightful porn mustache.
Yeah.
Like nothing, nothing. It was just, and he was tall and thin, and he looked like, I'm your sexy professor. And then he comes out with the bullshit that he handed over to Joe.
Yeah, he's attractive. He's an attractive guy, but he is older. He's probably 50-ish.
30?
Exactly. In the 80s, he was probably 32, but
Right.
and looked like that. So Professor Dugan is played by the actor named Colby Chester.
Which sounds like a porn star.
It does.
Hi, I'm Colby Chester. And I'm like, oh my God, too much.
Yeah. And of course, his mom was in the industry too. She was Chesty Colbert.
Exactly.
Here's the deal.
All on the family porn.
He is still alive. He is 80 years old, but presumably retired. But he has 75 acting credits over a 45-year career. He's
good for him.
He was a working character actor. Bravo.
Oh, that is the best career ever.
Damn right. And he's good. I mean, the character they're asking him to play is a dick, but his commitment to it, his projecting scholarliness, the authoritativeness, he's spot on. Fine. I am perfectly happy with the casting of him. We do not address the fact, though, that her professor, shows up to talk to Joe at midnight. This is the midnight to 6 a.m. thing. So
he must have been David, he must have been very fed up. Very fed up that she was not in her seat at whatever time was their class 7 hours earlier.
Yeah.
But it reached a stasis point, and he said, I've got to go track her down.
I'm going to get dressed. Yeah, I'm going to put on a tie and a jacket to leave my house at midnight to go to the college radio station. To point out that Joe has not completed the station log reports, because even though they're a student station, they are still subject to FCC regulations. You know that is true,
Yeah,
right?
I do. But nobody seemed to care at my college. Because I don't really remember any of that.
Yes.
I was like, I'm just here. Hello.
Mm-hmm.
Just gonna
But
spin some
she
records.
also has missed a test and has other assignments that were turned in late. So what we're talking about is he's saying that Joe is not doing well, and if she doesn't shape up, she's going to fail this radio management class. Joe says that she has had a lot on her plate. She had an English paper and a psych project due. And Joe was the valedictorian of her class at Eastland. So Joe is a good academic.
Right.
Now we're at the thing where it's like, okay, Natalie doesn't bowl, and I think Joe does not fuck up her studies. So that's
Right.
another, come on.
Come on. I'm not happy with this porn star guy at
No.
all. Yeah.
Exactly.
So, well, and I don't know if you're going to say this, but I wanted to touch on the fact that, he was giving her a hard time, and it obviously bothered her. It was visibly bothering her that he would come in and just accuse her of, and then he says, there are 2 other seats that are empty in the class. Did you notice that, Joe? And I'm sure they have better excuses than you. What?
Yeah.
What?
Exactly. So,
come on.
Come on.
Come
I kicked them
on.
out of class. They got kicked out of class. They flunked out somehow, but you haven't yet, which I don't fully understand. That's a big problem. Little extra thing that is pertinent to you and me. At one point he says, I realize that people think radio management is a Mickey. And Natalie over Joe's shoulder goes, a Mickey? And Joe turns and says, mouse.
Mouse.
Because it's so weird, because that is a thing. I don't know if it persists to this day, but I do recall, that damn, that's a college radio. It's just a Mickey Mouse operation. Like referring to something as Mickey Mouse meant that it was subpar, thrown together.
Right. What? I don't.
It's a Mickey Mouse repair job on my car. It broke again. So it's interesting that was around. I'd forgotten that, because I don't think people use that anymore.
No, I don't think so either. But I knew what it meant when I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because I'm old.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's because I just.
Yeah. So nowadays it's like, it's a Mickey Mouse. Oh, so corporate conglomerate that owns all of the entertainment industry. So the funny thing is, on top of this thing, which is not canon, I'm going to constantly state that this is not canon, that Joe is having trouble with her academics, is that Natalie is the one saying, Joe, this is serious. You gotta, I had no idea. And Joe is like, it's fine. No problem. No, I'm gonna do it. Bada boom, bada bing.
I got stuff to do. It's all right. It's okay. It's all right, Natalie.
Not a problem. He's always saying that. And it's like, I'm fine, really. So Natalie's just like, okay, well, fine. Go at it. Have fun.
Yeah, I got to go bowling now.
Yeah. So it wasn't explicitly stated, but somehow it becomes apparent. Joe is the producer. Joe is the one at the booth.
Yeah, she's doing all the work. Yeah.
This Victor dude is the one who's supposed to be the on-air personality.
Right.
So Victor shows up.
Wait a minute. Hold on a second, David.
Before
you go, please, we have got to touch on the fact that the DJ the opening shot of her, DJ comes out of the room, right? This is before Natalie leaves, right? And she's making out with her boyfriend.
Who is the producer? The guy,
What was that? Like they were completely making out. Like they just started sucking face right there.
Yep.
Tonsil hockey, whatever you want to call it.
I don't know what it was other than her to give Natalie the exit line of, hey, have you guys ever considered playing bowling? Oh, yeah. Well, guess not. And just
probably
walks
not.
out.
And they just continue. Who makes out in front of other people? Like, are we, what? I didn't, okay. I just had to say that.
Right. You're right though. So, not a peck.
And by the way, he looked a lot like the professor. He was blonde, typical. I think they have the same hairstylist. Same exact look. Same exact look. Okay, that's all I have to say about
I think
that.
I do remember. I don't really remember that other guy. I didn't pay much attention to him.
Trust me.
Because he was kissing a woman. I was like, I'm not interested. So then Victor comes in. Victor, the guy that's supposed to be the on-air personality. And he is drunk off of his ass.
Well, he was trying to get into that fraternity.
Yeah, at Thanksgiving. Because, the whole hazing process, the initiations into fraternities, that happens around Thanksgiving. Oh, totally.
Right. Yeah. Always. He was wearing a tuxedo, which where was he coming from? He was wearing a tuxedo. And and then he says, and this actually made me laugh out loud. It's a secret ritual. Want to hear it? It's a secret ritual. I have to, because they're hazing me.
Yeah.
And he's, want to hear it? I'm like, oh, he's never going to get into that.
That's a good line. That's a very good line.
It was cute. There's some really cute lines in it.
And at one point, car keys. Joe was looking for the key to the room with the records in it. And all he has is his car keys. And she says to him, this was very, very timely of 1984. She was like, you didn't drive in this state, did you? And he was like, no, I didn't drive. I got dumped out in a sack.
Oh my gosh. I was like, what?
And he is so like, hey, cool. Like he's just so unfazed by this abuse that he is being subjected to. He is completely like, this is cool. This is fine. I feel
Victor's
great.
Heart. Bless Victor's heart. He is
Jodi, this is not the first time we have met Victor.
No.
Victor has been on the show before, back in episode 2 of this very same season, and he was already the member of a fraternity. So I don't know what the fuck is going on here with this initiation bullshit.
Okay, so he was already part of a fraternity, and now he's saying that he has to, because that doesn't make any sense. He can't be a part of 2 fraternities.
But it was the episode where Joe started making pizzas and selling them out of Mrs. Garrett's kitchen. And with that, she was bringing pizzas to the frat. And Victor was the guy who was sort of the big pizza hog. He takes a whole pizza, folds it in half like a taco, and just starts slamming the thing. He's kind of my hero, not gonna lie.
He kind of is. I'm envious that he could do that.
Yeah.
He looked like he could do that. Like he was like, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Who's gonna do this? I'll do it, no problem.
Yes.
He was really just that typical. I thought maybe he was like a love interest or something of one of the ladies, the Facts of Life ladies, but no, because he's kind of nerdy, and I could kind of see like maybe Natalie kind of like having a thing with him or something, because she's so quirky.
Yeah. Well, if she wanted to date a college boy, remember Natalie's still in high school,
right?
So that's kind of a big deal.
But
Victor is played by actor Michael Zorek, and he also appeared with Nancy McKeon in the TV movie called High School USA.
Oh.
And he played the nerdy guy in that. Where yes,
he knows what he does well.
Yeah, he knows it exactly. And his Twitter, I happened to look him up because he doesn't have a lot of actual credits on IMDb. I'm like, where's he been? I looked him up on Twitter. His Twitter profile says, "Yes, I was Bubba," with a link to the 1983 movie called Private School, which starred Phoebe Cates and Matthew Modine.
Yes, I remember that.
I don't think I remember that movie. I might have seen it, but it was one of the typical teen trash comedies. It was Private School for Girls.
Yeah, Phoebe Cates was in a lot of those movies. Like she's Oh
There's
my
probably
gosh.
a changing room and they have their tits out.
I'm sure there was a bathing suit scene or something in the pool.
Totally. But because Michael Zorek is there, and it's so cool. He's in his 60s now, but he looks like he does, just with gray hair. He's got a wife, 2 kids. And if you look on his Facebook profile, I just decided to stalk him. Why the fuck not? It says retail clerk extraordinaire. So I'm thinking he got out of the business.
Sure did. But retail. Oh, okay. So proud of it. Whatever. He had his moment. He's more famous than I'll ever be.
Exactly. He was Bubba. What the fuck were we?
Bubba.
But the deal is, because he is drunk, Joe is like, you can't go on the air like that. Look, never mind. I'm just going to play records the whole time. Give me the key to the record room. They keep them in this thing under lock and key. And he doesn't have the key. So she's like, shit. And so she calls, leaves a message on the answering machine at the Edna's Edibles house. And I don't know if we've ever seen them with an answering machine before, but they used the newfangled gadget called an answering machine.
And you could hear it, you know, her voice, and then she leaves a message. That's so funny. I need help. I need help. We got to get down here. I need someone to bring me some records, some cool records to play.
Yep. Joe says this is an emergency. And I do kind of love this, that she's like, okay, all hands on deck. I'm calling the family. She's not calling her professor. She's not calling other students. She's calling Mrs. Garrett and the girls. And I kind of love that.
Yes.
So the next scene we go into is Joe handling it on her own. And she's running back and forth to the booth, to the microphone, introducing the record, putting the record on the turntable. The phone is ringing and she's running over to the phone, which is sitting on the coffee table of the sectional.
Seating area.
At the far left. So she's running around and it's like, really?
It's really slapstick, though. It was really slapstick, even funny.
It is fun. It is fun and funny. It helps energize the whole thing and create the pandemonium and chaos that Joe is experiencing. But it's like, you know, there are DJs who spin their own records. A DJ is not a person who just sits on a microphone and says, and now we're going to hear from Billy Idol. You know, they are at the damn turntable and putting the records down. And so there's a microphone at the equipment where you can see there's a microphone where Joe can communicate with the person in the booth. But it's like, why wouldn't there also be a microphone there? Come on.
Come on.
And why wouldn't there be a phone within arm's reach that they wouldn't have to wheel the chair away and go, come on.
Come on.
Yeah.
Wasn't a good setup.
Yeah. Just realistic whatevers.
Yeah.
And so Mrs. Garrett finally shows up with the records.
Thank goodness.
And what is the record that she has, Jodi? Joe just takes it. Joe throws it on the turntable and says, fine, it doesn't matter. And what does it turn out to be?
Commencement highlights. That's what it was. Commencement. It was a recording of commencement highlights. It was so boring. Then she says, well, the other one that I could have brought was Polka on Down the Road. I don't know which would have been worse.
Garrett.
I know.
I love your Mrs. Garrett impression.
Oh.
But yeah, it's a recording of a boring, droning voice giving a commencement speech that someone, for some reason, recorded and put onto vinyl.
Right.
Why? We don't know. But weirder records, we know, have been pressed. So that does not get a come on from me. What does get a come on from me is Mrs. Garrett says, I was at Dean Parker's house when I called home to check the messages and heard you tell us you need help. I have a problem with her saying she was at Dean Parker's house.
Why? I don't know Dean Parker.
Who the fuck is Dean Parker?
Oh.
And more importantly, Jodi, who the fuck are the people in the writer's room who are so lazy that this is now the 5th time in the series where a character has had the last name Parker?
Oh, no. Parker? Is that the 5th time?
Okay.
Are they a family of Parkers? Is
right.
the Parker family?
I did some deep diving here just to make sure I wasn't crazy.
Okay.
Season 1. Molly Ringwald was one of the original girls, and they didn't keep her for season 2. Molly Ringwald's character's name was Molly Parker. Then,
ding,
in season 2, the headmaster of the Eastland School, they had different actors doing it, but the one that stuck around and appeared in 10 episodes and was a very regular presence in Mrs. Garrett's employment was Mr. Parker, Charles Parker. Number
ding.
2. Ding. Then, in that same season, when Nancy McKeon, Joe, and her boyfriend Eddie were thinking of running off and eloping, he was 18, she was 16 at the time, Blair, as a stall tactic, invites them out to a nice dinner with her and a rich boy that goes to Bates Academy. That rich boy's name is Bink Parker.
Bing.
And the catchphrase people will remember is whenever they talk about Bink Parker, they say, he's such a weenie. And then at the end of season 2, Jodi, We
Uh-oh.
had a backdoor pilot, an attempt to create another series as a spin-off from this one. It was about Tootie's aunt, who is African American, and her interracial marriage to a white man. So it was supposed to be about a young interracial couple. That was the concept of the show. It was called Brian and Sylvia. What was their last name, Jodi?
Williams.
No, it was Parker. Actually, it was Parker.
Are you
Yes.
kidding me? Ding! I can't believe that.
So this is 5.
Oh my gosh.
5 times. Someone in that writer's room likes that name and is very, very, very lazy.
Yeah. I want to know, is there an inside thing there? I mean, it'd be, if it was like twice, maybe 3 times, but 5 times.
And it's like, is it the name of their craft services person? It's like, oh, well, we like the chalupas you make
to someone. Yeah.
Yeah, we love Taco Tuesday. We want to just, give them a shout out, But it's so weird. I even did look back to see if there was reference to the dean's name, because I was like, if this had been said before, I would have noticed it.
Oh, right. Of course you would have.
I went back and I looked, and in 2 different occasions, they just refer to the dean of students. I came from the dean's office. And at one point, Joe is a regent. And so there's like a committee, and there's like a lead guy. And I was like, maybe was he the dean? And no, he was just a chairman. So in fact, we have never been given the actual name of the dean of Langley until now.
Oh.
And it is not Mr. Parker, because at one time, Mr. Parker talked about having a conversation with the dean at Langley. So,
oh my gosh.
It's not that he's been promoted or anything. It's just lazy writing.
Well, I don't understand it, and I almost just want to stop. Let's
just end the show right here.
This is just awful.
I have to go lay down because
I can't. I have a headache in my eyeball.
So that gets, what does that get, Jodi? Come on. Yes. So no sooner does all this happen, and then Tootie and Natalie rush in.
Tootie toot. Okay, because Tootie saves the day.
You have some opinions? What's your?
She's just a doll baby. She just comes in and she's like, I got it. Don't worry about it.
And in her puffy pink 1980s jacket, which I want to wear right now, this very minute.
I can see you in it. It's fantastic. She looked adorable.
Tootie's hair is great this season. And she does make a reference later that she just had her braces off. And it is true.
Made me so happy.
They did just come off a few weeks ago. And the difference in her and how she suddenly does not look like a large child anymore. She is a gorgeous young woman. And I'm constantly captivated by how photogenic and how beautiful she's is
so pretty.
In this show. So props, Kim Fields. You're on TV for a reason, girl.
I know. She had that. She had a good look.
And Tootie does bring in, and we get the Police, Springsteen, Billy Idol. It's like,
the heavy hitters.
Exactly. So Tootie's got the records, and Joe's like, thank God I have these that I can play. And then in comes Blair.
With her perfect prom hair.
She has her hair in an updo. We have never seen an updo on Blair Warner before.
David, where was the baby's breath? I wanted little twigs of baby's breath in her beautiful prom hair.
And in a wedding dress with lace all the way up to her neck, covering her entire torso in long sleeves.
Absolutely.
She is wearing, Jodi, this is another one of those weird departures where she's dressed up like she's going to a nice dinner.
Right.
But it's a one-piece pant thing. What do you call it? It's not a jumper, is it? I guess.
You can call it a jumper.
Dress jumper.
Dress jumper, yeah.
Yeah, it's like a dressy jumper, and it's short sleeve. It's got the perfect 80s silhouette.
I call it a Blairumper.
A Blair.
It's a Blairumper.
She's got gold chains on, and the updo, she's wearing heels. She's carrying a white fur coat. So she had just been out to a party, we later find out. So she is dressed up.
Yeah.
Jodi, this is the first time we have seen Lisa Whelchel not wearing a blouse and a tucked in cinched waist, an A-line skirt, and boots.
Right.
Like
That
Delta Burke on Designing Women, or as I call it, her Dorothy Michaels costume.
right. That's Tootsie. Yes.
But
Yes.
it's like,
Tootsie,
and
of course.
that's the way they were
Dorothy.
dressing her, Dorothy
Yes.
Michaels. And that's how she was
Oh,
always, for
gosh, that's
everything. She's going to
right.
class, she's going out for a dinner, she's hanging out at the house. She always had on some type of a blouse with a tucked in and the A-line skirt and the boots. And
What happened?
well, I always said that they forgot that she wasn't fat anymore. Because, there was a couple of seasons where
Oh.
she put on a lot of weight. I think she might have been tipping the scales at 100 pounds, possibly.
Yeah, right.
So
Too much.
they were
right?
like, you're a fatty McFats-a-lot. So they tried to put her on diet, send her to fat farms and stuff. But there was also a sense of, well, she's a size 6. I don't know how to dress that. How do you dress a size 6? That doesn't exist in Hollywood.
She was still wearing black, though. She was
Yeah.
wearing it was black. So that is very slimming.
Yes.
Wow, that is.
Well, and the thing is, the line of it is slimming because it's such a long vertical with being a
Yeah.
pantsuit and the peg legs. That was very in the 80s. And she looks fan-fucking-tastic.
She does. She looks great.
And it's period, but it's also kind of a classic period. Like, it wasn't ridiculous 80s. It was like, oh, damn, girl. Again, like Tootie's pink coat, I want to be wearing that outfit right this minute.
I know you do, and you will.
And someday I'm growing my hair out as we speak. So this is a very serious departure in the costuming of Lisa Whelchel. Like, somebody came along and went, you do know she's not carrying a couple of extra pounds anymore. She's actually quite slim.
She looks amazing.
Yeah.
But like a lot of the other, from my experience with Blair on the show, she was having some boy issues. She needed some advice. She needed some help.
Blair was abandoned by a boy at a party. And when she went to find him, he was talking to his ex-girlfriend. And she immediately freaked out, stormed out.
Mm-hmm.
And now Blair Warner is kind of in a daze. She's kind of like not really there and talking absent-minded. Like, Joe, can I talk to you? No, I'm really busy. Good. I have a problem I need to discuss. Like, she's not there.
No, she is distraught.
And when it comes to a boy at a party,
yeah.
This is a come on.
Come on. Really?
That's really what it is. Blair is not very insecure when it comes to men.
No. Something happened.
Yeah.
And we're going to find out what.
We're going to find out more about what all happened. But
Brad's her boyfriend.
So Brad, yes, Brad, and Brad is the
fight.
name of the boyfriend. Yeah. So now everyone, the gang's all here.
Yes, everybody's
with Blair
there.
joining them. We do not explain how Natalie and Tootie, who do not have cars, got to Langley from wherever they were. We know Blair has a car. Joe was already there.
They didn't Uber. I can tell you they did not Uber.
They didn't Uber, no.
They didn't Uber or Lyft.
Maybe.
Maybe. Maybe
but
they
Victor,
came in a sack, just like Victor.
Yeah, they were dumped.
Maybe they were they were dumped.
But speaking of Victor wakes up and he's like, "Oh, am I on?" And they're like, "No. Sit down before you fall down. We got this covered." At which point, as he stumbles, he reaches for the turntable and breaks the arm off. So there is no record player anymore.
No turning back. That's right. You're absolutely right.
And that's how we go to commercial, where it's like,
That's when the DJ show was no longer, about records, spinning records.
That is a problem.
Right.
So when we come back from the commercial, it's like, we have 6 hours of air we have to fill now, and we don't have the ability to play records. What are we going to do? So she makes them all audition. There's a cute little scene where they all read, and
they were not happy about that. Are you going to audition me? Mrs. Garrett goes in and reads the weather, and it's about some flooding in the area. And she was very concerned for the people. Yeah. And we have to help them. Why don't we? And of course, just in Mrs. Garrett, Mrs. G, she's got to help.
She's magnificent.
She's like, no, she ushers her out of there.
Yes. And actually, Natalie is the one who crushes it. Natalie
was amazing.
Comfortable and fun.
Sorry, that was me. Blair just was like sad because of the situation she was in. She's like, it's happy fiesta time. Ole. But she said it like It's happy fiesta time.
Yeah, because she's still in this state of almost unresponsiveness over this boy problem.
I
And
literally put Natalie rocks it, just like you
Natalie
said.
rocks it. And Tootie, who should rock it, Tootie starts being an actress. This is one in the good column. Tootie is the actress of the group, and she will go on to be a professional actress. So her thing is, what's my motivation?
What's my meaning?
Yeah.
What's my character? What would my character do?
Yeah, exactly.
that kind of thing.
What's my want? I need a want.
What would Strasbourg say? Whatever.
So Natalie is the clear winner, so she goes on first and does the news. And she reports on a fire, complete with making sound effects and crumpling paper and
she did her own her whole Foley artist. She became a Foley artist doing her own thing. Yes. And she was like, it was really, and she did.
Natalie crushes it. Natalie becomes a one-woman band and crushes it.
Yeah.
So when she completes the news, then they send in Tootie to do some advice. And Tootie, I have said before, does not usually play the black card. Usually they don't try to give her stereotypically sassy black girl talk.
Good. Okay.
And that's a very commendable, good thing about the series overall, to not have her, doing all that jive talking turkey, slap me some skin blood, and that awful white people writing for black people language.
And coincidentally, you're never cast as that either.
And so I keep trying. You can't crush my dream, Jodi Chase.
Oh, wait, I wanted to say something. I'm sorry about crushing your dream. I wanted to say that one of my favorite things that Natalie did with her little Foley artist thing was they had a close-up on her Lee press-on nails.
Yes.
And she was like tapping.
Like a teletype machine.
Like a teletype machine for the news. And this just in. And it was her beautifully manicured Lee press-on nails. I was like, yes, I had those. Okay,
totally,
so back to Tootie.
And they do, and they're all very well manicured throughout this season. You don't get many close-ups where you see the hands, but for teenage girls, they do have very done up. They're spending their salary getting their nails did. But one thing, we do have a great Tootie moment. I've said it before. When they do it, oftentimes it is successful because they don't overdo the thing of, well, Tootie's the black girl, so she has to do black girl things and say black girl words. But at this point, Tootie is the advice columnist, and someone calls in and is like, I caught my boyfriend cheating and I don't know what to do. And she goes, dump him.
Dump him.
And she's just like, but I love him. He's my boyfriend. And Tootie says, no way.
You'll get over him. You'll get over him.
Yeah, she says, no way, honey. He's a cheat. You better lose him. And just
you better
giving
lose
the
him.
full sassy look to the microphone with the sass.
He's got to go. Yeah.
Yes, the sass was strong in that one, and it was successful because they never do it again. And I think this is like the first time we've gotten anything like this from Tootie.
Fun. Oh, it was
this season is what I mean.
Right. Season.
So quickly, Joe grabs Mrs. Garrett and is like, you take over. You do the advice. So while Mrs. Garrett is on the phone line, another call comes in. It's a guy, and he says, yeah, I just heard you on the phone with my girlfriend telling her to dump me. I'm coming down to the station and straighten that Tootie out. So he threatens Tootie.
He threatens her. And David, I felt like it was more not I'm going to come down there and give you a good talking. If it felt like it was going to be more than that.
Physical. Yeah.
And I was like, what?
No, it was definitely a threat. It was definitely a threat. And Tootie is justifiably and understandably
worried,
unnerved by this.
Yes.
So then Mrs. Garrett is finishing up the advice. We dissolve, I think,
advice.
Her advice.
My boyfriend wants to take me camping. And then Mrs. Garrett, in true Mrs. G fashion, well, camping can be a wonderful way to bond with friends. Mm-hmm. And then she's like, oh, he wants to have sex with me. Oh, it can also be an evil, awful thing to do, camping. She's like, totally changes her tune.
The funniest thing, and I wish she had delivered it a little bit differently, the line as written says, this is very difficult, and I think she says it's uncomfortable for me. She says, because back in my day, we never even said the word
camping.
And she just plows right through it. But
You
you think she's
know?
going to say sex. So the fact
Sex.
that she says, we never even said the word
Word. Camping.
camping.
Oh gosh. And then wait, and her tagline for her show too made me laugh. This is Etna. Lend an ear. Tell me your trouble and never fear.
Yes.
Yes. Tell me what's your
Yeah.
problem.
They're just getting comfortable in this. They're kind of finding their groove, and
And then
it's
she
kind of
said, yeah,
nice.
she says, so he wants to sleep with me. And then she said, all I can say is this, consider your feelings, think of the consequences, and carry a compass. Bye. Like, that
And I
was
thought
it.
she said condom at first. At
Me
first,
too.
okay, I'm not crazy because I had to back it up. I was like, whoa, 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 what?
But that was on purpose. That was funny.
Yeah.
And carry a
Carry a
compass.
compass.
Yeah, because I think
Yeah.
there's a tiny bit of a pause there, just enough for you to go,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think those
Really.
writers were like, yeah, that sounds just enough like condom, but we're not going to say the word condom and no one can refute it. Yeah.
It was great. It was great.
So we move on to the next scene. They're just in the lounge. They're sitting around on the sectional. They're chilling and eating, all of them. And you're like, okay, they're abnormally relaxed given the situation that we know they're in. And before we go on with the plot, we have another one of those jokes fabricated by writers who don't fucking know anything. Natalie says, what am I eating now? And Mrs. Garrett says, it's called souvlaki. And Natalie goes, I hate it. And then the response is, well, Natalie, the Laughing Greek is the only place that would deliver this time of night. And then someone says, oh, how is he doing, by the way? And we cut to a Greek man on the microphone laughing as he is telling some type of a story about his family and Nicholas. And,
Yeah.
and so it's a funny joke. I like it. It's like the Laughing Greek. How is he? Oh, by the way, how is he doing? Cut to an actual Laughing Greek guy.
Yeah. And he was just,
I love it.
Yeah. That was really cute.
But we must go back. What am I eating now?
Oh, right.
It's souvlaki. Do you know what souvlaki is? Souvlaki is the meat and vegetables on skewers. It's like a fast food that you find in Greek culture and street vendors. What am I eating? It's not moussaka. It's not pasticcio, where you're like, I don't quite have a full understanding of the ingredients that are going in my mouth right now.
David, I don't know if I'm more impressed with the fact that you know what all of this stuff is. And just this is a sidebar, because that's really impressive. Like, you really know your Greek food. And I just want to say that's wonderful.
I appreciate that.
And
I did have to Google it. I did. I had to fucking Google it.
I was like, I'm going to go with spanakopita and
I knew
baklava.
everything else. I know it's spanakopita, but I mean, I love me my Greek food.
Me too. I'm a Mediterranean lover.
But I did have to go, what was souvlaki again? And I was expecting it to be something really complicated and complex with some flavors that maybe in the 80s might have been weird. Remember, sushi was new.
It was a freaking kebab.
It was a kebab. Exactly. What am I eating now? The thing that come on, kebab. The thing that looks like meat and vegetables on a stick. It's meat and vegetables on a stick. Jesus.
I don't like it. Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Any hoozle. Yeah, that was a serious come on.
Yeah.
So the Greek man that is laughing is actor Steve Susskind or Susskind, Susskind.
Okay.
He has 68 credits between 1982 and 2005. He passed away in 2005.
Oh.
Here's some of his credits. He is the voice of the floor manager in Monsters, Inc.
No way.
In Barbra Streisand, The Concert, which was 1995, her big grand return to the concert stage.
Yes.
Remember, 3 different therapists are voiced in, and under the guise of her being in therapy, uses it as song cues. Right. Therapist number 1, that guy, Steve Susskind.
No way. What a random thing.
Yeah, so he did have a lot of voiceover work, but people who watch Friends will remember him in 2001 as the priest who was about to marry Monica and Chandler because Joey couldn't get away from his set for the movie he was making. And then at the very last minute, Joey shows up dressed like a army dude from the 40s or something.
Yeah.
To officiate the wedding.
And he was supposed to be the person officiating the wedding.
It was supposed to be Joey, but in Joey's absence, this is an
This is the
actual priest who is there in the full robes and
who
everything.
was.
Steve Susskind, the Laughing Greek.
Come on.
Come on.
Come on in a good way. Come on in a good way.
Yeah.
Good for him for getting work.
That's good. No, good. That was good for him. But yeah,
Good.
if people are Friends freaks, it's like, oh, the guy that almost married Monica and Chandler. Done. Same guy. So then we move on and we have an hour to go. Tootie is scared. She's talking about being stalked by a faceless man. How can you worry about a radio station? And then Natalie says, the Sunday paper just got here. We can read the movie reviews. Can you read the newspaper on the radio and have it not be plagiarism?
That's a good point.
I'm just wondering.
I would think. No, I think that would be okay because it's already out. It's already.
I guess.
No.
As long as you cite your source, I suppose.
Okay. Cite your source. No, that's true.
Cite your source. Cite your source. So Natalie grabs Mrs. Garrett and says, well, come on, Mrs. G, we're going to be Siskel and Ebert.
That's right.
That was a big thing, Siskel and Ebert at the time. And Mrs. Garrett says, what's the movie? And Natalie says, Kill Me at the Prom.
Right. Kill Me at the Prom. And then they talk about the highlights of it. And that was actually quite funny.
Yeah. With Natalie kind of giving a very heady, analytical view of what is it's not a real movie. It doesn't exist. I did Google it just to be sure, but she's basically taking a slasher movie and trying to elevate it to some sort of cinematic art while Mrs. Garrett's like,
I just saw a head on the floor. And
that's like, right.
Yeah.
Speaking of fictional things, that Kill Me at the Prom is not an actual movie. And earlier, when Jo was covering and didn't have any records, she was playing the same record over and over again. When she's running back and forth, it is, she says, that was Mad Dog with Can't Wait One More Time.
Right.
And since it's such a great song, let's listen to it again. So that's her way to cover her ass while she has no other records. I have to admit, my knowledge of pop music in the 80s is spotty, top 40s. I wasn't that big into music, so I did have to look it up in Google. I'm like, was there really a band called Mad Dog? And did they really have a single called Can't Wait One More Time? What do you think, Jodi? Yes or no?
I'm going to say, well, my instinct is no. It sounds like a made-up name. That would be my instinct, but I have a feeling you're going to say it is true.
It is not. It is fictional.
Very good. Yeah, because it just sounds like that typical, like, oh, we'll call it Mad Dog because Mad Dog is like a really bad wine. Mad Dog 40
Mad
or
Dog
something.
2020. Yeah.
Mad Dog 2020. Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
And then, the name of the song. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Well,
so while the movie reviews are going on, Blair finally, out of desperation, says, Tootie, I guess I'll have to talk to you.
I'm going to have to confide in you.
Yeah, she can't talk to Jo. And her initial thing was, well, it's this guy I'm dating and you know him and you know me. Maybe you can give me some type of input onto what the situation is. So this is where Blair tells the story of that he went to go get a drink for her at the party and was gone for 15 minutes. And when she saw him talking to an ex-girlfriend, Tootie was like, what did you do? And she goes, I told him he had a bad complexion. That's a Blair Warner insult.
So mean and petty and catty and just typical. And then she left.
And then she just left. And Tootie basically tells Blair, you were kind of wrong. You should have at least asked him and you shouldn't have assumed the worst and you could have given him a chance to explain.
She gave good advice.
Good advice, Tootie.
Yes, Tootie, saving the day again with the records and now this.
Yeah. So Blair says, well, I don't know how I'm going to tell him that. And then Tootie says, does he listen to the radio?
Ooh,
so she puts Blair on the air and Blair apologizes on the air, something she has never, ever done to a man before.
Right.
Initially,
she didn't, right? Initially, she was like, and I want to say that da-da-da-da, and then that. And then you were like, but she didn't apologize. And then of course, there's the look up to Tootie, and Tootie's like, and she's like, and it was all my fault, and I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It was painful for her.
Just a struggle.
Yep.
So struggle. And
yes.
And so keep in mind, right now, they did say it's an hour to go. So it's just after 5 a.m. So I hope he's listening at 5 a.m.
Guess what happened?
Can happen. So we go to the next scene, and it is now 58 minutes later. We are 2 minutes to 6 a.m. They are about to make it to the end of this. I will point out, nobody is tired.
No, everybody's
Apparently-
just bright-eyed and bushy-tailed.
Yeah, nobody was drinking or swilling back coffee or whatever. It's like, no, they're just like, oh, we've been up all night. La, la, la. We have to go to, well, it's a Sunday. Now it's a Sunday morning. So, but
I
they
think
do
they
have a
were
shop
high
to
on,
run.
they're probably high on no-dos or something. Remember no-dos back in the early 90s?
I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I'm so scared.
So only like 2 minutes left or something.
With 2
right?
minutes left, Natalie's just about to wrap things up, and a boy shows up at the door to the station.
Well,
Jodi screams.
Jodi screams. She's
Thinking-
worried. Oh my gosh, she's worried.
She's thinking it's her murderer. She's thinking it's the guy that's come down to kill her. He never actually does materialize. This is Brad.
It's Brad. And guess what? Can I say this again? Third time's the charm. He looks exactly like the other two guys. Blonde hair, porn mustache, perfectly coiffed.
You're right.
Absolutely whiter than the driven snow.
You are right.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
There's
So
Brad.
it is now almost 6 a.m. He's still dressed in his blue dinner jacket and his tan pants and his tie, like he was still at the party or something. That was a long, formal party that they were at. That wasn't like a frat house party.
Right.
So that was weird.
That was a little weird.
Yeah. But he accepts Blair's apology and they make up.
They do. They did. They made up, and that was really sweet.
They make up, and then Victor wakes up, at which point Blair offers him a ride home. She's like, Brad's got his car. We'll get you home safely and in one piece. Joe thanks all the others. She is really grateful. That's really nice. And Mrs. Garrett does say, I hope the professor enjoys it. And Joe says, are you kidding? Anyone can play music. And then Natalie signs off, and then they count down. 4, 3, 2. Oh, say, can you see?
And they'll sing that.
And they start singing along. And after the countdown and the national anthem starting, it's applause and roll credits. We're done.
Yeah, we're done. Wrap it up, right?
Episode's over.
Episode's over.
You can see the look on my face where I'm like,
yeah, what do you... It didn't have the strongest finish, but it's, as we know, as comedic performers and that create scenes, and Saturday Night Live has the same problem. It is hard to end a scene. It is hard to end a sketch. It is hard to end a show. It's always the ending that's always difficult. And that it was fine. It was fine.
Well, here's my thing is that it could have ended that way. I didn't hate that they did what they did, but I'm like, okay, the notes I'm sending back in the time machine to the writers is that there was a complication earlier in the episode, but that complication is not resolved. Joe is failing or not doing well in this class, and this professor is ready to kick her out.
Right.
And so it's like, well, what were the stakes? Bingo.
But at least Blair can get laid.
Yeah.
And that's
and
really
look fabulous in her outfit.
And look fabulous in her fantastic jumper.
So here is how I would have fixed the episode, Jodi.
Okay.
At the beginning, when he said, I know a lot of people think radio management is a Mickey Mouse. But I would have had him add on that the emphasis on this, Joe, is the management. And I have serious doubts whether you can be a leader when the chips are down. Right. All these excuses you're giving me are just excuses. You have to show me that you can deliver.
She did deliver.
And she did. Then you didn't have to change another word of the whole episode. And then let's go for it. And this is cheesy 1980s sitcom shitty.
Bring it.
But it would be perfectly at home in this episode if, as Natalie is counting down, we're 1 minute left. Ring, ring, ring on the phone. Who's calling at a time like this? Ring, ring. It's the professor. Put him through and have him on the air say, I just want to say, Joe, I've been listening at home and I'm very, very impressed. See me in my office Monday morning and we'll talk about getting you an extension for those assignments that are late.
There it is.
2 lines, people.
Yeah. And
Two lines could have fixed it all.
Yeah. And then someone calling at 6 a.m. Why would that be any more strange than, somebody coming in at 3 minutes before going, I listened to you say that it was your fault.
And he could, you know what? And I could justify that even better. More than him being there at midnight, he can say, I have an early morning meeting and I turned on the radio station while I was getting ready. Because at 6, I mean, you could be up at 5:30 or 6 in the morning to start your...
Is it too much exposition, though? I don't know.
It's a Sunday. Yeah, that is too much exposition. Forget I said it.
Forget it. And it is a Sunday. He could have said, before I went to church. Or something.
Yeah, I was kidding. I have an early church sermon, I'm having doubts about the existence of God. I was thinking to myself, if God really is a truly benevolent God, how can there be so much suffering in them? But anyway, well, Jodi, we're at the end of the show.
No, I'm whining like Tootie did. I know.
I want to stay on the Zoom and look at your face and talk to you forever like we used to in the old days.
You just call me old.
Yeah. And I'm older than you are. Don't forget it.
That's true. It's like 8 months or something.
So I want you to come back and do this again. And hopefully it won't take us 2 years.
I will.
And your husband, the wonderful John Pelkey, was a delightful guest a few weeks back.
He's a funny man.
Yes. Maybe I'll have you together. Would you like to do that together or would you?
I think that'd be really funny, actually.
Okay. Well, then maybe that's what the next goal is. I'm going to have you on together. So
couple criticizing, couple critics. What's a good words for those?
Critic couple.
Critic couple. Okay. We're critic coupling today with Jodi and John.
Okay. We'll do that.
Critic coupling.
Critic coupling with Jodi and John. There's a lot of alliteration there. I love that. I love it a lot.
Me too.
Well, be well, darling. I hope 2021 is a magnificent year. I hope it is the year that puts you and me both back on a stage or in a role, and may it be something we get to do together.
I hope so too. Thank you, David. I have a feeling it's going to happen.
Yes, let's cross everything we have two of. Will that, send that out into the universe. And in the meantime, I love you. I miss you.
I love you too. I miss you.
Smooches and goodbye. Mwah.
Bye.
And there you have it. That was Jodi Chase. So glad to have her back again. We didn't get to talk about it this week, but just as a reminder from last time Jodi was here, animals are very important to Jodi, and I didn't want to let the show go by without giving another plug to her pet rescue, A Better Life Pet Rescue, which you can find on Facebook and their website, betterlifepets.com. I will post links to both of those. Now, a little bit of follow-up on the episode. First of all, I didn't mention that the record that Mrs. Garrett brings and refers to, called Polka on Down the Road, I hadn't speculated before, but I realized, could that be an album of polka music and polka arrangements of the Broadway musical The Wiz, which is where Ease On Down the Road comes from? If that record exists, I need to have it and listen to it right now, immediately, and forever for the rest of my life. I will start hunting. I don't think I'm going to find it, but if you guys have any leads, let me know. Secondly, I went on my rant about the last name Parker and how this is the 5th use of it in the series. I was looking up and just verifying all of the information, and when I went to look up Mr. Parker, the headmaster of Eastland, whom we know and love, I realized that I had never actually done a deep dive on the actor Roger Perry, who played Mr. Parker and was in, I think he was only in like 10 episodes, but he certainly made quite an impact. But looking up his life and his career, there were some surprising facts that I did not know about. He was discovered by Lucille Ball, and he was signed on at Desilu as a contract player. Desilu Studios was the studio that she and Desi Arnaz started up. And you know who else started that way was Robert Osborne, the guy from Turner Classic Movies. He started out the same way as a contract player at Desilu discovered by and basically groomed by Lucille Ball and company to be the next generation of actors. So that's cool. But the thing that really surprised me was that he's a composer and a songwriter. He has some credits where he has sung, and Barbra Streisand sang one of his songs called A Kid Again on her first TV special, My Name is Barbara, from back in 1965. Mr. Parker's a songwriter, singer, what? That is so weird. And lastly, he was married 3 times. His first wife was Patricia Perry. She was not a famous person. But then his second wife, in 1975, he married Joanne Worley. And he was married to her until 2000. So the entire time he was on The Facts of Life, his wife was Joanne Worley. She's the one that was on Laugh-In, and of course, a whole new generation grew to love her as Madame de la Grande Bouche, the voice of the armoire in Disney's Beauty and the Beast. And then, after he and Joanne Worley divorced in 2000, 2 years later, he married Joyce Bulifant. Do you remember Joyce Bulifant? She was Murray's wife, Marie, on The Mary Tyler Moore Show. She was in a bunch of sitcoms. She was a game show staple. And if you remember the movie Airplane, remember she's the mother of the sick girl in the stretcher. The sick girl being Jill Whelan from The Love Boat, by the way. So I could not believe these facts about Roger Perry that I stumbled upon and realized for all of the deep dives I do, I somehow missed him. And he was such an important part of the show in seasons 2 through 4. And the last thing I'll add to this, as you continued going down the rabbit hole, Joyce Bulifant, before she was married to Roger Perry, was married to William Asher. That name may be familiar because William Asher was the producer-director of Bewitched, which was a vehicle for his then-wife, Elizabeth Montgomery. So after he and Elizabeth Montgomery split, he married Joyce Bulifant. And then Joyce Bulifant and went on to marry Roger Perry. It's crazy. So many celebrities. Anyway, I will stop babbling about this. I'm just really excited to discover so many interesting facts, even though I am embarrassed that I didn't do it until now. But next week, I'm going to be watching Season 6, Episode 11, called Smile, and I am going to have another very special guest. You can watch the show for free at dailymotion.com. I will post the link in the show notes and on this show's webpage. That is all for now. Thank you so much for listening to this week's show. And remember, the facts of life are all about you. Let's Face the Facts was created, produced, written, hosted, and edited by me, David Almeida. My theme song was beautifully arranged and recorded by Ned Wilkinson. Visit my website, facethefactspod.com, for supplemental photos and videos, audio extras from the digital cutting room floor, links to my social media, and ways that you can support the show financially. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review the show on your favorite podcast platform. Tune in again next week for another thrilling episode of Let's Face the Facts.